Want to bite a worm? No, wait. I like to lick him first.
It's amazing fruit, yeah, it's amazing fruit.
The very best thing about jelly, gurgled baby Bonnie, is that it's so juicy.
Gummy bear? They've been in my pocket. They're real warm and soft.
Will you two stop saying gummy so much?
This thing rules. The thing rules.
Oh, hey, what's up? I'm Brian Altano.
And I'm Max Scoville.
This is a show where we discuss something we love,
Unpack why we love it,
explain where it came from,
try to remember our first impressions of it,
share our weird stories about it.
maybe learn something new about it along the way.
But first and foremost, we're here to celebrate the fact that this thing rules.
So gummies.
Gummies. Okay, so gummies that's a broad term, right? That covers everything these days.
No, so that's a good point, because like there's Swedish Fish gummy or no?
Oh man, that feels like a hard candy that gave up, you know, that got doughy. I don't know if Swedish Fish is kind of like you know those, like if you go to like a improv comedy night and one guy brings like a guitar. And you're like, he's doing musical comedy. I get it. That's what Swedish Fish is. Yeah, like it doesn't feel like they should be part of the stage. They're there. They're allowed. You know, it's an open mic night. Whatever. Come on and do whatever you're gonna do. Swedish Fish, and it's not even a Sweden thing. I want to make that abundantly clear. I have nothing against Swedish people. IKEA is one of my favorite stores in the world. It's a wonderful place in there. They don't even sell their own. They sell weird Swedish fish there. You know, they have fake ones.
Okay, so that's what Swedish Fish, jury's out on what that is.
Okay, no, when I was saying it's a broad encompassing term is I mean like there's gummy vitamins now. There's gummy when people talk about edible marijuana as gummies, right? Like there's all of that. But when I think of gummies, because I'm perpetually 8 years old, I think of Haribo and Amazin Fruit Bears and all of the stuff underneath that umbrella, which is like a snack that is not good for you, but it is very delicious, usually fruit flavored, sometimes not, which we'll talk about.
You can just call it candy. That's okay. It's not.
I don't like calling it candy.
Again, is it a fruit snack?
Yes, it's a fruit snack.
No, is a fruit snack a gummy?
Yes.
Oh, I disagree hard.
What are you talking about?
They're not even in the same section of the grocery store.
Well, okay. Grocery stores are all fucked up now. What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
They don't sell fruit snacks in the candy section.
What grocery store? At Target, where they sell golf balls at 5 minutes from eggs?
You can't go to the movies and buy fruit snacks behind the counter, but you can get some gummies.
What gummies can you get behind the counter?
I don't know, like gummy bears, probably.
Dots?
Those dots don't count.
What are dots? Are dots up there with the acoustic guitars?
Dots are like crystallized Vaseline or something. I don't know what those are. So I did a bunch of research about this. I did a lot of digging. I did a lot of gummy mining. I'm actually, like, separately from this, I've been reading this book about the history of sweets.
Okay.
Which is called like it's by like some guy named Tim, and it's called like Sweets: A History.
Do you have Augustus Galloop's disease?
I don't know what compelled me to do this. I think I was reading something. I've been reading these history books about like very specific things.
Sure.
And I was like, I want to learn about where candy comes from. And I was thinking it was going to be like, you know, it's going to start 300 years ago and then it was going to work from there. But it was like, so in the Middle Ages, candied fruit was medicine, and it went back way, way, way too far. And I'm like, recently kind of got to the gummy, the slightly more modern era where it goes into like.
Was that the first? The first candy was fruit that like got hard.
Yeah, like the earliest stuff was like dried fruits or like preserved fruits, and then I mean, it's weird because sweets or candy predates sugar, like sugar was a New World discovery for the most part,
right.
And the reason they sell candy at pharmacies and drugstores is because originally candy was presented as medicine. So we think of like
what they always said in Mary Poppins, right? A spoonful of medicine makes the medicine go down.
Makes the sugar go down. But no, I mean it's funny because you look at Flintstones chewable vitamins, or you look at gummy vitamins, and there's this feeling of like, oh, they took gummies and turned them into medicine, but it's like really kind of the other way around in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, tangent there, but like it goes into the sort of the history of where gummies came from. The earliest gummy, the thing that I guess you would quantify as like a modern gummy, was introduced in 1864 in England. It was marketed by Friars of Lancashire, and they were little babies, and they were called unclaimed babies.
They were little. What do you mean
they were like little babies? They were shaped like babies. Like a younger Sour Patch Kid, basically.
Oh, okay, I get it.
But they were called unclaimed babies, as in like orphans, basically, like left on doorstops of convents or whatever.
Harry Borphans.
Yeah, pretty much. But they renamed them in 1918 to Jelly Babies, and they're still sold today by Bassett's. I've never had these. These are I guess arguably the first modern gummy candy that's still readily available.
Jelly
and sold today.
Babies.
I think texture wise they're more akin to like a Sour Patch Kid, or which I guess is kind of like a Swedish Fish in itself. I don't know. I haven't had these, so I can't speak to it. But they're not the same consistency exactly as like a Haribo or a Trolli. The Gummy Bear, which I feel like it's one of those situations where the thing that popularized it wasn't the first thing, like when you think of a gummy, I mean, the term gummy with an I is attached to bear. Like that was, that was Haribo introduced that was,
change the game as they say. Like they came around and fucked up the whole world of gummies.
They did.
They still, it shattered, I would say, the world of gummies.
Which is impressive because it's
impossible to shatter.
It's a squishy thing. It's an unshatterable candy.
The world of gummies has actually been in I would say disarray, shambles. They've been kneecapped, I would say, curb stomped. Some would say.
Jesus,
since Haribo came around, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so, Haribo is the Michael Jordan. So if Jelly Baby is the Neil Armstrong of gummies, then Haribo is the Michael Jordan. If Michael Jordan
went to space,
went on the moon,
aside from Space Jam.
Yeah,
okay,
he did.
I'll take it.
All right.
Whatever, sure,
it works.
But yeah, basically, Haribo founded a candy company in Bonn, Germany. Or not Haribo, it was Hans Riegel Sr. In 1920. And he made candies, and his first employee was his wife, which I feel like was a weird conversation. His first employee was his wife. He made the candies, and she would get on a bicycle and ride around delivering candies to people. That was her job. He was like, get on the bike, go take the candies around. And at that point, it wasn't yet gummy. And then the gummy stuff came along. I think he made like hard candies or something. Gummy stuff came out in 1922. He introduced the prototypical gummy bear, which was at that point called Tanzbaren, which was dancing bear. And they looked weird. They looked different. There's pictures of them floating around. They're way longer. Like you ever seen a photo of like a bear in the circus, like a dancing bear?
When it's standing?
When they're standing.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but made of candy, and it's frightening. It's very upsetting. That's
like the least frequent way to see a bear.
Well, apparently at the time, that was one of the leading forms of entertainment. Like now
Making bears stand up?
Yeah, no, dancing bears in the circus. Apparently they were all over the place. That was the hottest shit back then.
I thought you meant that the leading form of entertainment was trying to get bears to stand up.
Yeah. Probably. That's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where that came along.
Not a lot
I was
going
curious
on
because
back then.
we've had some back and forths about the sort of the candy hierarchy of specifically of gummies, because Haribo, I think we both agree. It's a Haribarchy. Haribo's the best. Like we got to just come out and say that Haribo's the it's not the OG, I guess, but it is the best. Mm-hmm. Then there's also Trolli, which is good. It's kind of like I'll eat Trolli. Trolli excels at certain other departments, but Haribo has like a sort of has like a more of a smell. Like there's more of kind of like a musk of the candies. Like I don't. There's
a realness to them, that I would describe as. Whereas like I would say that Trolli's sort of like, not that they're faking the funk, but I would say that they are, kind of like a second or third generation, like, it's I didn't want to do this, but my dad did it, kind of thing. You just kind of inherit the mantle. I think Haribo was built for this. I think they're stronger than anybody. I think it's weird that the guy would make his wife ride around town on a bicycle to sell unproven food, but you know.
I think he was selling Proven Foods first, but then he was like, check it out, I made dancing bear candies.
Oh, like, so his wife was like, anyone want the apples, but also long bear?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, as far as stuff that was getting cooked up in Germany in 1922, I feel like a dancing bear candy's pretty innocuous, pretty harmless there.
Where are you going with that?
I mean, that's the thing, is like World War II informed a lot of like 20th century everything. Sure. Trolli started out, there was a German guy named Willy Metterer, which sounds like Willy Murderer. But he started the company in 1948, and originally he made pasta.
What?
He made pasta. It was a pasta company starting out.
Wait, doesn't Trolli make that silly spaghetti, the gummy spaghetti?
Exactly.
What the fuck?
So he started out making pasta, and at the time, in 1948, wartime rationing was still in place.
Right.
Sugar rations were still a thing, where like a family could only have like a certain, amount of sugar per year, per whatever. And
the bears weren't as long that year.
They had short. That's maybe why they made shorter bears. I don't know. Maybe it's like making smaller action figures in the 70s. It was a scarcity thing. I don't know. But basically, they lifted the wartime rationing thing, and he was like, fuck spaghetti, I'm making gummy spaghetti instead. Time for sour sketty, everybody. And like just completely went out the window with that. The name Trolli wasn't established until 1975, and I could find no explanation for that. So it was called like, I forget, it was called like, Metter or Willy Co. or some shit. It's some normal sounding company name. And then out of the blue, they were like, Trolli. Just like, yeah, let's name it after like a thing that lives under a bridge, but with like an I at the end.
Do you think it was that, or do you think it was based on trolleys that they were using to transport? Or maybe
I don't think they weren't. What?
Maybe they had guys who were patrolling the factory, and they would feed them silly spaghetti, and after a while, they're like,
I think
you guys
they wanted
doing a great
to sound
job.
like a fairy tale animal. I think
the tenderloin in San Francisco, right? It's named after like the cut of meat that the butchers would give the cops. Maybe Trolli was named after the patrolmen who were patrolling the factory.
It's been named after the patrolman jelly they put in the gummies to make them so squishy. No, so that was those rolled around. They I feel like, I think they got scooped up by some Chicago candy company, or they had like an American distribution deal. Basically, they got their foot in the door in the States more aggressively in the 80s and 90s than Haribo had. Haribo's like, I feel like it's kind of like a Playmobil Lego situation.
Yeah.
Where they're both equally popular in Europe, more or less, I guess, but then one of them is more ubiquitous stateside.
Right.
And then in this case, like, I remember just Trolli being everywhere, and they had more silly, it's like kind of like a McDonald's Burger King kind of thing, where like McDonald's is like, hey, we're doing the same shit. We've added a slightly different sauce. It's a limited time. We're not going too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This shit's normal. And like Burger King's like, we made fried cheese chicken fingers, and you get Wild Wild West sunglasses. Come on in. The Whopper is purple this month.
Table service with popcorn.
Yeah. No, they're like, we're trying all kinds of shit over here. We got a terrifying mascot. Your clown's scary. Our king is frightening. But it's kind of undifferent.
His head doesn't budge.
And we still see this today. Like we still like Trolli made. They made Elden Ring gummies.
I have a bag of those framed. I mean, I ate the gummies, but then I framed the bag, which is weird. It's a weird
great.
thing to do.
I think they had some other M-rated game got gummy candy, which is again like totally baffling and bizarre.
It was Manhunt. No, it wasn't.
Kane and Lynch gummies.
They had gummy men that you could bite off pieces of.
You can do that. That's true. They do have lots of gummy men. You know, one of my favorite pieces of trivia in France.
They have lots of gummy men? Well, you can't just say that.
Lots of gummy men.
Where are the
they
lots
have
of
like
gummy
lots of
bears.
Sour
Patch
Patch
children.
Kids. They have unclaimed babies or whatever.
But not men. Not a lot of men.
I think there's some men there. There's a lot. You know what I love is there
needs to be more men in gummies.
Look, there's a lot of Haribo shapes. Like they have a whole variety of them. They have a lot of them. Obviously, there's the bear. The thing that's funny is the bear has, everyone knows what a gummy bear looks like. But I feel like the marketing around bears is always deeply misleading, because you mentioned Amazin Fruit. They had those incredible CG commercials in the 90s where the bears were all like, they had like long limbs. They were like they were athletic. They're like moving around a lot. And you get the bears and they're just regular ass gummy bears. They're just like, little blobs.
Well, the Haribo gummy bears are interesting because and correct me if I'm wrong, I've always interpreted the shape as it's like a short, fat little bear, a squat little man of a bear, right? And he's sitting on his butt. A
Yeah.
little man of a bear. He's sitting on his butt, right?
Yeah.
And his little feet are out and his little hands are out and he's just like,
Yeah.
right? That's it. He's not standing to you, is he?
No.
He's sitting on his ass.
I mean, he's
right?
a little teddy bear. Yeah, it's a little squishy bear. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we're on the same page there.
No, we're on the same page there. That's that. But then you look at the Haribo mascot, and he's this like I don't know, bendy looking yellow dude. Like he's just this weird.
He's got a fucking bow tie on.
He's
too.
got a bow tie. That guy's up to something. Like if there is, if we're looking at like mascots of, brands that I would expect to have dirt on them, I think that one has done some shit.
Oh, for sure.
Like, no one's come out and straight like Me Too'd the Haribo bear, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think he's done that. I think he's more of like an insider trading guy. You
think
like
so?
I think he does a lot of corporate crime stuff.
Okay. Like
As-
he bribed the college to get his daughter in, like William
Stuff
H.
like
Macy
that.
or
Like
whatever.
sleazy stuff. Like he printed degrees that aren't real and stuff like that. And like a lot of stuff like he'll call companies and just be like, we're gonna have a shortage on peaches. So you better get them while you can. Stuff like that. You know what's weird about that dude? He's yellow. He's a yellow bear, but you can't. They don't make yellow Haribo gummy bears.
Don't they?
No, they make like white ones.
They got. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
They make yellow ones, don't
No,
they?
they make red, green, orange, and I think white. Or it's not really like a white. It's a kind
They
of like
absolutely make yellow gummy bears. You're out of your mind.
really.
Yeah, they make yellow gummy bears. I think it's bizarre that there's only, how there's the whole pantheon of M&Ms, you got like the sexy green one and the angry red one and the yellow peanut one or whatever. Then they periodically have like weird, D-listers show up. There's only one Haribo bear, but there's all these multicolored bears. So there's a whole, where are the rest of his kind? For the record, we're still talking about the cartoon bear on the bag of Haribo Gold Bears.
Okay, I do want to issue a public apology and retraction to the Haribo company earlier for saying that the Haribo company does not employ yellow bears in their Haribo Gold Bears bags. That is incorrect. I will stand by all of the slander I said about the mascot and the crimes that he's committed over time, especially corporate ones.
I have well, it's not incriminating. I have a concerning piece of public information here.
Okay.
I went on the Haribo website. I was trying to find this bear's name. I think he's just called Haribo Bear or Gold Bear or something. He's not. It's like one of those descriptor things. Here's a question. I don't know how. I shudder to think how frequently asked this frequently asked question is, but it's on their website, so someone's asked it.
Top 5 most popular websites.
You ready for this question?
Yeah.
Can I borrow the Gold Bear costume from Haribo?
No.
And they said.
No.
Oh yeah, his name is Gold Bear. And they said our much-loved mascot, Gold Bear, appears exclusively at Haribo activities and events. Although we understand that he is a very popular bear, he is unable to attend any third-party events or appearances.
That's not answering that question though. They're saying, can I get inside that thing? And they're saying,
No, there's
he
a
can't
whole-
go anywhere. We won't let him go. And they're like, I don't want him. I want his skin.
He needs handlers. Yeah, that is actually a very weird.
Also, his fucking bow tie is sideways on his head. Like he got smacked, like when Daffy Duck's head gets spun around.
He probably did get smacked when he pulled some shit, when he did some.
I bet he
some
did.
Sleazy antics. Anyway. Haribo Gold Bear, I think he's a phenomenal mascot because he's fun to talk about. I have all sorts of questions, like it's
Have you tried Haribo Gold Bond?
not as good. Not great for rashes.
It's like little body bears you put on.
Don't say
in
body
The
bears.
damp areas on a hot day.
We go to Germany periodically for reasons that aren't worth going into here.
We've gone to Germany together way more times than I ever would have guessed I would ever go anywhere for work. Ever. As a kid, even like reading Nintendo Power and stuff like that, growing up worshiping and loving and obsessing over the video game industry, they were always like, okay, so there's this is what's happening in Redmond, Washington. They're making Nintendo Powers and Nintendo's there and blah blah. And in New York, that's where Mario and the Ninja Turtles live, and the Gremlins, I guess. And then over here in Japan, like there's Tokyo Game Show and all this other stuff, Space World. And then like every now and then they'd be like, and also Leipzig, and you'd be like, what's that? And then you wouldn't know anything about it. And now as an adult, every single year We go to one specific city called Cologne, Germany, and we go there for like 10 days straight to cover a big international video game convention called Gamescom. And we go there as professional adults, and both of us, without fail, every single year, come home with not like 2 or 3, but like 14 or I think my record was like 17 one year, bags of Haribo gummies.
I measured it one year and it was 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So I would say between the two of us, we have collectively imported, amateur importing at least, we have imported maybe 10 pounds of Haribo.
Yeah, we are basically like, Narcos level.
Yeah, which is the funny thing though is like we always go to this one gas station. Like most people when they go to Europe and they're like, I'm going to get some wonderful chocolates and candies for my friends. They go to like a nice department store.
Yeah.
They go to a chocolatier. They go to an actual place. They go to a nice place. We go to the same fucking gas station every year. We go to that goddamn gas station. We'd go in there, like a few beers deep, and we'd stumble in and be like, what kind of gummies are here tonight? And it's the same gummies that were there the night before. But we do this thing where we... Like we're tunneling out of
Shawshank. Yeah, no,
exactly. We do one little bag at a time.
We buy 1 or 2 bags at a time per night, and by the end of the week, we have the whole collection. We have the entire 2023 suite of Haribo's offerings, right? And then there's a couple of weird ones because it's like Haribo does dominate over there, right? Like there are exceptions. There are other companies that can sneak in, but yeah, we'll go to this gas station at like 9:30 at night. We'll get like weird like a bottom shelf vodka nippers and like a tall boy of some silly beer we can't pronounce, and then a bunch of bags of gummies, and we look fucking insane.
We do.
There's no way around it. We look completely insane.
Yeah, like we go in there, we don't know how to use a debit card reader, and
We just put huge coins on the counter.
The guy behind the counter speaks perfect English, and he's like, "It's fine, just buy it and leave." No,
they're like, "Sir, please, can I?" And he's like, "You don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Just stop."
We're not speaking German, just using an accent. It's very bad. But I love it because they have exclusive. They have like they have gummy stuff that doesn't make its way stateside. My first year over there, or one of the whatever, I bought a whole bunch of the coolest looking ones, which were Haribo vampires. And I was like, oh my God, they have vampires. They are so sick looking. They are so cool. They have like little black wings. I guess they're just bats. I think they have like a vampire in the bag. They're so cool, but they're like they're colorful, but then they have big wings. I think I bought 5 bags of this stuff, and I took it home and I looked closely and I opened a bag and I was like, oh no, the wings are licorice.
Yes.
So it's like regular gummy, fruit gummy with just licorice attached to it, which is, I don't mind a little. I've actually grown to like these things. I'll probably grab a few next time I'm hanging out in Cologne, Germany. But it's, again, it's like in moderation. I don't want 5 bags of licorice vampire bats. They're cool. They're great looking, but like, not the right one.
I think even like the, like the rate drop for like a licorice jelly bean in the bag of Jelly Belly jelly beans is rare or non-existent in the usual ones, because I think most people just don't want to be dealing with that shit. It's like it doesn't really fit with the flow of everything else. But in Europe, they just like licorice more. Like they're into it. And so they'll throw it in the mix with their candies. They'll make whole bags of it. Also, fun fact, the reason the vampire bat is a bat is because you can't make a gummy man. That's the rule.
So there's that. There's also the mixed bag. It's called like Magic Mix or something.
Star Mix,
which has a bunch of, they have like a bunch of like, I don't know, like just a variety pack, and it's stuff you'd expect. There's like the bear, there's a worm, there's a frog or whatever. And there's also Satan.
Satan's in there.
There's a little Satan. I think he's just, no, he's a devil. Like that's what he is.
Yeah.
And it's very alarming to be eating a bag of candies and you're like, oh, a cute little thing. Oh, it's a nice thing. Oh, and occasionally they have letters in there. Like you're like, what did I get? And it's like an L. Like I guess I'll take the L. I'll eat the L. But then you pick one up and it's Satan. And it's just, why did they put Satan in a gummy bag? And
there's like a shape in there that's like, it looks like a sex toy, but it's like a ring with a stick on it. Like it doesn't, like it looks like a strap on.
Oh, that one's off. It's supposed to be a pacifier.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
that's always fun when your pacifier looks like a sex toy or vice versa. That's definitely an important thing to have.
It's not great.
No, it's not great. And so like that's actually one of my favorite ones to get there. Not that shape specifically, but Star Mix, because it's just got this crazy variety to it. But there's also like there's the whole there's like the ring stuff. Like there's peach rings, there's apple rings. Like all of that. And like I remember. I ever since I was a young lad, I knew I loved gummies. Right? I think we both did. But I remember going to a movie theater as a kid, and it was my first time seeing like it's this movie theater I went to all the time. It was called the Tenplex, and I believe it was in Paramus, New Jersey, and it had 10 theaters. Right? And we thought it was literally the biggest theater around us. I think it's long gone now. It's a gym now, I think, which I hate. I hate when that happens. My favorite arcade became a furniture store, and my favorite movie theater became a gym. Like they were taken over by like Elseworlds versions on the opposite day. I hate that so much. Anyway, so one day I went to the Templex to see, probably fucking Congo or some shit like that. And there was this huge thing in the middle of the room that had these like big buckets of candy, right? It was my first time seeing one of those like, okay, you get mixed candies and you use the big scoops. And you can be psychotic and mix up the M&Ms and the Skittles or whatever, or the Reese's or whatever. But I just saw like there were like 6 different types of gummies, and I put them all together, and I just got so excited. And this was in the 90s, where it's like I had no money. My dad gave me like $5 to see a movie or whatever,
And it was
right?
like $13.
It was like $13 because I went up with like a pound, and she was like, yeah, that'll be like $13. And I was like, I don't have anywhere near that. And she was like, can you empty out some of it out? But that was my first time trying a whole bunch of different ones.
Those ones, there's a bunch in there that you can't get elsewhere unless you buy it bulk. Like there's stuff that's specifically made for those troughs. I found this out because for a minute, my wife, she doesn't really have much of a sweet tooth. And I periodically forget that and buy her candy, and then it just sits in a drawer somewhere.
Right.
Or I eat it and she gets mad at me because she was going to have it in 3 years or whatever. She has her favorite candy is what she calls apple butts, which were like little, like not the, there's the big round flat apples that are gummy with sour powder on them. You've seen those. There's apple rings, obviously, but these are different. They look like little asses. They look like little tiny butts. They're about the size of like a dime or a penny or whatever. They're covered in the sour powder, and they're a good squishy consistency. They're not quite the like the hard chewy of a bear, but they're also not. They don't have quite as much give as like a Sour Patch Kid, but it's like somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
And so I looked all over the place for this. I went on the internet. I scoured websites. I bought 3 different kinds of what I could tell was, or what I thought was this product. None of them were the right product. A lot of them were really close. The thing that she was specifically after was a now discontinued Jolly Rancher gummy, which, and maybe it's recontinued or something since then. But the only place I could find it was on these bulk candy websites where you buy this stuff in bulk.
That was already old.
I mean, they were sold out at that point. Like it was full on, and it was one of those situations where you're just out of luck. Like that's something that fascinates me. And you see this with some people collect old sodas or whatever. But like there's stuff that expires. I've never had the candy Bonkers, but I grew up reading comics that had ads for Bonkers in it. And I'm never going to experience Bonkers. So it's going to be this, unattainable grail thing for me. Unless I build a time machine and go back to 1987 and eat some Bonkers, I'm not going to ever get to have Bonkers. They don't make them anymore. They're just they're
gone.
Yeah. And anyone I get off of eBay, they're going to be terrible. Anyway, these apple butts are presumably discontinued. I could not get them. I worked hard to find them. I think I bought like 3 pounds of other kinds of gummy apple things, none of which were the genuine, the genuine article.
By the way, you mentioned discontinued soda cans. A quick aside: I was at an antique store in Santa Rosa over the weekend, and I saw a $10 can of Star Wars Episode 1 Mountain Dew with Rick Ollie on it.
Oh wow!
And it had already been drank, and I was like, should I get this for Max? And then part of me was like,
Rick Ollie. I thought he was cool.
I know, but
he didn't do anything.
I was like, should I? Like the idea of spending $10 on an empty Mountain Dew and then just like holding on to it until I see you again felt so fucking dumb.
That's pretty dumb. Also, those were, I don't know. I would love to go and talk about the sodas at some point, but
we can do that
another day. But so the deal with the bulk candies and the fact that they have that candy model where you get the bulk candies in the trough and the scoop in the bag, it's a brilliant racket. every business is leaving San Francisco. San Francisco is basically a ghost town. Like stuff
Yes.
you'd think that couldn't fail has just pulled out and left. Like, Old Navy packed up and is gone. Macy's is gone. The Nordstrom said fuck off. They are all gone. There is one business that is still there. It is residing in the carcass of the Forever 21 building on Market Street, and that is It's Sugar or It's Sugar. Which is, I hate the naming for that. I don't know what that is. It's basically a modern version of what is it called? Like the candy shop, the sweet shop. They used to have it at the mall in the 90s. But now they have one. I guess it's just, I think whoever was writing it was so hopped up on sugar that they just wrote IT apostrophe sugar. It's just not even, it doesn't make any sense from any kind of grammatical, typographical level.
And that store is bigger than some malls are in some small towns.
Yeah, and
it is
clearly doing well. And the reason it's doing well is exactly what you discovered when you were a kid going to that movie theater, because you go in there and you try to get like a little bit of candy, but you're paying for it by the pound.
Yeah,
and you're paying prices that it's not worth. And it's sugar. It's in the name. And sugar is not expensive, especially if it's half corn syrup or whatever. This is not a thing that's like it's. They'll have crazy novelty stuff in there, like, what is it, like a life-size, or it's like a giant gummy worm that's 3 feet long or whatever, or like a life-size gummy rat, that kind of weird stuff behind the counter. And, it's gag gift kind of things.
Which, by the way, have you ever actually eaten one of those?
Yeah, I had somebody sent me, I don't know why I think somebody sent me a giant gummy worm as a goof. And I ate some of it, and it's horrible. It's the worst texture. It's awful. It honestly feels like eating rubber, because at that point, it's just structurally not like, people do that thing where they're like, I like Reese's cups, but only the ones that are the small ones and the little narrow ones.
Because the ratio of
exactly, yeah. Or you get the jumbo ones. Like the distribution's all off. I was talking to somebody literally last night about how Flamin' Hot Cheetos balls are better than the regular ones because the surface area of a sphere is greater than the
there's more crunch and less styrofoam. I've landed on Reese's eggs as my favorite.
Yeah,
because they're smaller and flatter, and the ratio of chocolate to peanut butter is better.
It's a whole thing. Yeah,
than pumpkins and trees and the other shit.
Yeah, so imagine
the psychos do all year.
Farthest end of the spectrum from that. Imagine something that honestly feels more like you're eating decorative, like a bath product or a extension cord. It's nasty. I did the thing they do in cartoons where I took a knife and a fork and I cut it like a little sliver and I ate it that way, and it was terrible. And the thing is, I think it was a pound or 2 pounds maybe.
Oh my
it's
God.
A big goddamn worm. It was horrible. What I wound up doing, and I really don't know if this is up anywhere. I kind of hope probably not. I made really like weird bad YouTube videos for a minute. I had fun with it. I should do those again, but I also don't want to. I put a condom on it, which was just really, it honestly, you know how like gummies,
that's
like
why it tasted like rubber, you idiot.
Well, that was before, but then there's the associate, like it kind of occurred to me that like gummy is a little bit oily, it's got like a kind of a squishiness to it, because if it wasn't, it would all just stick together, I guess. They would
stick together. They're lubricated.
Yeah, it's more lubricated if you put a condom on there, which I don't recommend doing for any reason, let alone making a YouTube video about it. But I did that, and it was an awful thing to behold. Terrible.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. Yeah.
They would say. You know?
I was a different person. I was doing stupid things.
We didn't have TV. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have automobiles.
Yes, we did.
We just had YouTube.
I put it on YouTube.
And we had our video cameras.
A lot of people don't know this, but YouTube actually predates the internet by a good 75 years.
True.
It was after. It was a physical tube. You had to take a gummy worm, put a condom on it, and slide it through the tube, and other children would see it.
And if you wanted people to see the video, you had to bike all the way to YouTube Mountain, uphill both ways, and give them the video. And then there was another man in there with a different bike who would use it to power the video. And when he gets tired, the video goes away. A lot of people don't know this.
So anyway, It's Sugar is probably in business because somebody pays $20 for a 1 pound, 3 foot long gummy worm. And nobody actually enjoys eating it. It's not a good time to eat it. It's an awful thing. But that's it.
The thing is, it's a gag gift, which means that the person they gave it to is, probably most people are like, just, nice about it. And they're like, thanks. And then they go home and they're like, oh no. And they don't go, Gary, you piece of shit. That was the worst gift I ever got. They don't do that. So are we not counting fruit snacks?
No,
as gummies?
Fruit snacks aren't gummies. Get out of here.
I can't talk
They
about
don't
shark.
count.
I can't talk about shark bites.
No, that's another. Fruit Snacks is his
What the
entire
fuck is wrong with
cinematic
you?
universe.
This
Fruit
is
Snacks
such-
don't count. Fruit Snacks don't count. Fruit Snacks are made by cereal companies, dude. They don't count as gummy. They're not gummy. I'm sorry.
Why are they
It's
not
just
gummies? I think there's a lot of overlap.
structurally different? I think because the way they get around being marketed as candy is they have enough fruit pectin or something in them that they can be, they can be like, "Ooh, I'm actually made from real fruit juices." That's why, like, nobody puts gummy bears. I mean, really cool parents who probably have open relationships or whatever. They probably put gummy bears, like actual gummy bears, in their kids' lunch boxes.
Okay.
Everyone else puts fruit snacks in there.
I put actual gummy bears in my kids.
Okay,
lunch
you're
boxes.
cool. I'm not.
But
gonna,
also, do you have that? Does your kid have one of those lunch boxes that has the circle in the middle?
No. What?
Okay, so the most popular lunchbox that they sell for kids now, that like they make like 600 different varieties of them. It's got like a square-ish area for a like a sandwich or a wrap or something like that, right? Or a salad, I guess, if you want your kid to get beat up. And then there's 3 other little pockets that have you can put like carrots and celery sticks or like crackers or something. But then in the middle is a circle. The circle is tiny. It's the size of like a huge thumb. Like if a big guy that sold cars gave you a thumbs up as you were leaving the lot in your car right before your car was about to explode, his thumb would make a hole.
What a horrendous way to describe the size and shape of something.
You know when a guy in like a really old timey thing puts his thumb in a pie? It's that size hole.
All right, I get. So
You know when
put
there's
gummy
like a
bears in there
hole in
sometimes.
a fence that like a guy can look through?
Stop.
It's that size hole.
So you put gummy bears in there or fruit snacks.
Yes, anything you can fit in there. So it's like too small for cookies, too hot for TV, just right for.
Okay. Yeah. No.
But
yeah.
I will also put fruit snacks in there, because if I have like bluey fruit snacks or whatever,
Sure.
I'm going to put those
so
in
that's
there.
that thing is the key difference is gummy typically. I don't know what they're doing at the factories. I don't know what makes a difference. I think fruit snacks are more agile. I think they can pivot more to have licensed fruit snacks. We have movie tie-in fruit snacks. You have bluey fruit snacks. There's no gummy bluey stuff out there yet that I'm aware of. There's no gummy Haribo stuff. Occasionally you get gummy tie-ins. You get the Elden Ring peach rings or whatever. Those are just regular peach rings. They changed the bag. They didn't change the structure. But you look at fruit snacks and they make all sorts of crazy shapes. They completely retool all that stuff. They go into the factory. They do like custom molds. They make, some of them are legacy. Like the shark bites are never going away unless they do. Like
They did. I
make
think they went away for a while, but the big thing with them was they had, the chase variant white sharks that you could get. They had plastic toy shark you could get that you put in baking soda, put in your bath, make your bath taste horrible.
That was a cool. That was.
It
Don't
would fart
drink the
along
bathwater. Don't do that. No, so that's I really do think fruit snacks are a story for another day because I don't know shit about fruit snacks. My candy book didn't even go to talk about fruit snacks one bit. Didn't even touch it because I don't think they have those in Europe because it's an insane thing to put in your kid's lunch. But somehow we have some bizarre loophole that makes them not count as candy. It's
That's
not
because
marketed
the
as candy.
author of that book is paid off by a big gold bear, and everyone knows it. That's why he wears that
The funny thing
crooked
about
ass-
that book is there's a whole part in the beginning where he talks about going to the International Candy Fair, which is held at the Kölnmesse in Cologne. It's held at the same place where we
What?
go for video games. They hold a candy thing there.
We got to go.
I want to go, but we can't. We're not going to go. How are we going to get there? We can't get there. Anyway, but I want to go there so badly. Like, I love how people are like, oh, yeah, I'd love to go to a video game show, walk around, look at all the video games and all that. And that's cool. And I'm incredibly grateful to get to do that sort of cool shit for a living. But I'm like, but what about candies? I want to go look at candies. I want to go to a candy trade show. There's
Yes.
that whole Simpsons episode about Homer going to a candy trade show. That sounds like the coolest shit in the world. International Candy Fair, where there's stuff you've never even seen before, and they probably give out little samples. Amazing. I want
Oh
to
my
go
god,
there.
it'd be like a grown-up Halloween. You walk around. We would get like big pillowcases. And walk around and...
you would get cornered by like some dude who's like trying to market some like Croatian lozenges, and he just like corners you, and he's really wants your email, and he tries to like work out some business, and you're like, hey man, I really just want to go check out the great new stuff that Trolli's doing, but there's a line around the booth for Trolli. Trolli doesn't want to let people in. They're like,
I
"Do you have an
really
appointment
think
to see our
you
new
do have a
candies?"
Goose's Galoops disease, dude. Like, I think that the next time I make a video with you, you're gonna eat the microphone.
That was a Goose Gloop's dad.
Where do you think he got that disease?
It's not a disease; it's a compulsion.
A Goose's Galoops disease is hereditary.
Okay. Yeah, I love gummy stuff. I think it's a great time. I don't know what it's funny because you don't really. I don't know, like you don't mess with sweet drinks. You don't really
Not
do,
really,
you don't
no.
do soda. I drink a lot of stupid ass energy drinks. I drink a lot of that nonsense because I think it's funny. They started doing shit where they're putting they make it taste like 90s candy, but they're like, it's not 0 calories. I'm like, I'm sure this won't come back to haunt me. Anyway, look. And I'm like, yeah, it tastes like Warheads. I feel like I'm 8 again. Time to go.
It's like
answer emails.
It's got like a chemical on it that hasn't been proven yet, and you won't know about in 5 years. It'll just be one of those, like, you'll get an email in 5 years.
Yeah, no, it's like
did you drink Warheads candy water?
Oh, yeah.
You might be due to money because you drank suspartine or whatever.
Yeah, suspartine.
Suspiria.
No, the ingredients have the same level of suspiciousness as the Haribo Gold Bears criminal record. You know, like
Yes.
it might not be there yet, but it's down there
It's getting
somewhere.
there. No, I'm not really like the older I get, I'm not really a big sweet tooth guy. I like my, peanut butter and chocolate mixture. That's good. Any variety that shows up in.
But then you go to town on gummies, which are arguably the
I love
stupidest,
them.
most. They're
Oh my God.
they're the dumbest candy. I'm gonna come out and say that they're stupid as hell. They are a child's candy. They're I think there's a lot of candies that can get bouged up. They can have like, oh, let's fancy chocolate. Like there's no gummy equivalent of like Godiva. You can't go to a fancy place.
No.
You can't get a box of gummies for somebody.
Well, what's that?
Of all ages.
What's that company? It's Albertese or some shit. They make like the, what I'm talking. They make like they tried to go for like a high end gummy bear bag thing. This was kind of like a thing a couple of years ago.
Oh.
And I think they're still kicking around. It was like white bag, cursive or whatever on the bag.
It's missing you're missing the point.
It's missing the point.
Yeah.
No,
it's
and you're wrong, by the way. That's not
colorful,
the dumbest
silly
candy
ass-
is candy jewelry. Is the dumbest. Like, imagine if you were on a first date, you're hanging out with friends in the middle, you're like, so tell me about work. And you just went, and started eating a bracelet. You just reach into your hairy chest and you pull out a fucking necklace and you just start eating the rings off of them and you bite them and they start clipping in half and falling down and stuff like that.
The weirdest thing in this candy book I've been reading, dude, is like it's written by this the only other book the guy wrote is a history of, I think it's gardens at Oxford. What? And I'm just picturing the stuffiest, like a Hogwarts professor behind his big desk, like just like a, heavy set J.R.R. Tolkien just sitting there and he's like twiddling his fingers and like eating all these different chocolates and like typing on a typewriter because it's all steampunk in there. And then about halfway through the book, there's a whole chapter about the sort of, darker side of candy and how like there's, like sometimes drugs get named after candy and like blah, blah, blah. There's all sorts of complicated, gray area political stuff with where things are sourced from. But there's a line in there where he's like, it's funny that a lot of drugs, a lot of party drugs in the rave scene are named after candies. And I was once offered a caramel and custard by a young man in a nightclub, and sure enough, it was just as good as my favorite. And he goes into this whole thing where it's like he basically fires off a handful of types of ecstasy he's tried. And I'm like, hold on, who is this guy? And it's like he goes from like the 400 pages of like the most like he's talking about how people ate like candied pectins in the Middle East and the Crusades and shit. And then fast forward, he's like, anyway, when I was at a Prodigy concert in a warehouse, this guy gave me some candy that was shaped to look like a sweet tart, but it actually made me trip balls for 3 days. Like, what? Just wild. And then again, that's, I don't know, I don't know, like I have not even messed with ecstasy. Like you see that in movies where there's like, oh, look at it. It's look like a little, the tablet looks cool. It looks like some exciting thing.
Why is he admitting to a crime in the middle of his candy book? Was that the trick? Was that like the deal he made with the cops?
I mean, I read Mr. T's autobiography too, and he straight up alludes to just killing somebody for insulting his mother in there.
That's how you pity a fool, dude.
Yeah, no,
sometimes you have to pity them to death.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. It's just it's funny that like now you look at upscale gummy stuff. And it's just drugs. Like if you went to an adult's house and you're like, hey, I brought some gummies, they'd be like, what kind? Are they like, indica, sativa, hybrid? What's the deal? How much should I cut them up so I don't get stuck in my own couch? It's
one of those terms that's meant a lot of things now, which isn't exactly fair. I guess we should continue talking about the dark side of gummies now that we're here, because there is that thing. We've been talking about this for a while, but we haven't gotten to the point where like some gummies have given some people a lot of diarrhea. Like,
all right,
it's a thing, right? It's a specific chemical that I think was used in some like gluten-free or
it's
vegan.
It's in the low calorie
Yeah.
It's in the low-calorie Haribo. It's basically what, in the 90s, there was that brief stint where Lay's was like, introducing Olestra. It makes the chips...
Suspiriatine.
It makes the chips lower calorie. And people are like, it also makes me shit water.
Yeah.
The same thing happened where people... I don't know. I think they assumed that in the sort of sensible Germanness of it all, they were like, yeah, people aren't going to overindulge in a giant 1-pound box of Haribo low-calorie bears, and surely they're low-calorie. These are people who are watching their intake of things. And then all the Amazon reviews are just like, I have bad shits on account of I ate the whole thing when I was sitting in one place. And
And it became one of those things that, like, it became a meme, obviously, so it's hard to tell what's real. But also, people on the internet will sort of, relinquish weird personal information, no problem. I mean, we've done it for years. But, like, they'll hop on Amazon and they'll just be like, guys, I've had the squirts for 3 days straight and I'm barfing out of my asshole. Like, people, it's just the same thing when you're, like, you're going to look at a restaurant on Yelp and there's just a picture and it just says, like, beans. And there's like a picture of beans. I saw this at a steakhouse. I was looking at a steakhouse on Yelp yesterday, because I have free time. I don't have like read Mr. T's autobiography kind of free time, but I have enough free time to look at a picture on Yelp that says beans, and it was just like a pot of beans, and this guy just wrote beans, and it was like, just in case you never saw it before. So I think some people go on Amazon, they got the thing, and they go, got diarrhea, and they just write it out. Like, they're just 2 words. Maybe they're on the toilet when it's happening.
my favorite is they give it 3 stars, but they're like, gave me diarrhea for a week, 3 stars out of 5. You're like,
still loved it on the way in, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, when we go to Germany, we got I think it was the last 2 times. Smurfs are big there, right? And there's like a debate about who owns them.
what are they
no one
called?
does.
In France, they're Les Strumpfs, but
Strumpfs.
in Germany...
Yeah. And then in France, they're called the fuckers.
No, they're called the Schlumps.
Yeah, the Schlumps.
Schlumpf.
And in Italy, they're called little shits. And Gargamel calls them pieces of fucking horse shit garbage. I hate those fucking things for some reason. I don't even know why he doesn't like them. Anyway, Haribo makes Slumps or Strumps or Smurfs gummies.
Gargamel tries to eat them. That's his whole deal.
He just wants to eat them?
He just wants to eat them. He wants to make a stew out of them or something. He tries to catch them so he can eat them. So it's
stew?
weird because if you... I don't know a stew. I don't know what he wants to cook with it. But if you get a bag of gummy Smurfs, you're basically just role-playing as the villain.
Yes. What's with him and Shredder being like, tonight I dine on turtle soup? It's like, all right. I mean, it's a soup. We could swap in anything and you probably wouldn't notice. It's not like this is barbecue. Where like if you put tofu on my grill, I'd be like, ah ha ha, I caught you. But if you made me like Smurf stew and you popped in venison and blueberries, I would probably be like, good stuff. How'd you hunt these little fuckers? That's great. You get a big bag or like a net or something. Thanks,
I
dude.
guess I'm curious, what does he eat when he's not eating Smurfs, which he never does because they never show him eating the Smurfs?
He eats cat food with his wife, the cat. So anyway, we got we got the Smurf gummies last year, and I didn't realize, maybe it was in German, but like we were eating them and they were like, the texture's off, right? But there's a little like carrot in the not an actual carrot, but like the little the little triangle they put in the corner of candies. It says like, now it'll fuck you or whatever. Like amazing or shit like that. Like a blue raz, electrical. And it said vegan. And like, I'm not against vegan food, but I am against like vegan food and adjacent to a food that has been known to give people like hardcore diarrhea. Right. So you and I got a bag of these, and I remember we were like sitting around eating them while day drinking. And we were like, these are weird, right? Like these are not like they don't feel right. I think it's part.
If they figure out how to make like proper ass vegan gummies, great, awesome,
Yeah.
killer. But those are one of those things that really needs to be. They need the hooves in there. They really need the.
They really do.
Whatever animal parts they use to make those funny little shapes. It's just.
I always thought it was so weird that like when they, like if you kill an animal which I'm not against. You know, I eat meat regularly. I cook all the time and love it. But if you kill an animal and then you make them into a different animal, is just fucking weird.
It's a
you know?
really twisted version of reincarnation, you know?
Yeah, like, hi, chicken, can I kill you? Sure. What am I going to become? A dinosaur. What? Yeah, you're going to be a pterodactyl chicken nugget. Why? Well, you know, kids like dinosaurs more than you. So fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird roll of the dice is when you're illiterate in Germany, you don't know what kind of things you're getting. Maybe it says veggie on the corner and you're like, that's probably vegetarian or vegan or whatever. There's one we got. I have it. This is how stupid we are as people. As we bought this bag and we were really confused as to what it was because it has this thing. It has this word, this like big exclamation point below the Haribo that just says save with an exclamation point. And then there's like a question mark kind of. We're like, save? And then we realized that what it actually is it says sour, but in German.
Oh,
which is, it's phonetically, it just says sour. But they put a dot below the line of the R and they put a little separation. So they basically turned half the R into an exclamation point to get creative, which again is up there with like the It's Sugar naming convention.
Yeah.
Of what are you trying to write and why did you write it that way? But we were like, what is up with these weird save alligators? Like, what's the story here? What's going on? And then we took a bite of them and they were just like slightly more sour. And we're like, oh, it says sour. We're horrible, stupid Americans who can't even read a children's candy bag. Terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't because they wanted the alligators to be safe, right?
We thought it was a value pack, I think, because it just said save, and we're like, is it like when Arizona says 99 cents on it? Like it was just.
I thought you were talking about like it was like an animal preservation thing, because it would be weird for them in Germany to be like, let's get in on the saving the alligators thing. Like that's not really a problem for them over there, right?
That would be a bizarre flex for a food that never had a certain type of animal in it to be like now 100%. They're like, yeah, 100% dolphin free. And it's like, I didn't realize that was ever a concern when making Wonder Bread, but sure, great. You know, I mean, it's funny because you'll see things. I love this because this has this Haribo where they're like a fat-free food. And to some 90s people, I don't know, I feel like, what's her face? Kathy from the cartoon Kathy. I feel like that works on her. And she goes, oh, fat-free, I'm going to eat it. And it's just like, it's still not good for you.
No,
you know?
not at all.
It's sugar and gelatin.
And same with it being gluten-free, right? Like it's, you know, that's the least of that thing's problems are gone maybe, but the most of them are still there. But you're not really, I mean, that's the thing. Like I'm not there for that. I'm not there for healthy stuff. I'm not other food for healthy
It's funny
stuff.
though, because it's like, I guess it is a fat-free food. Congratulations on that front. Like, I don't know. It's like if a car was like, won't blow away in the wind. You're like, all right, it's more than you can say for this. I don't know, paper doll or like what? Like, lots of things blow away in the wind. A car doesn't. I wasn't expecting it to, but sure, why not? You know, I wasn't really going to the gummy worms to try to get something that was fat free, but congratulations on that front. You certainly succeeded.
No longer contains blood.
Yeah.
All right. What was there before?
Never has and never will contain blood. We promise.
We were talking about like gummy medicines, right? Like in the traditional sense, but like they make gummy vitamins and stuff now, which is like a weird. It's a weird thing to be like every single day I eat gummies to be healthy. Like, well, that's dumb. But I started taking this stuff called ashwagandha, right? Which is basically like a natural anti-anxiety. It's one of those. It's just like multivitamins and other things. You take them every day and you buy them every month, and they have no discernible effect.
They're vitamins
whatsoever. Yeah. And you don't know if you should stop taking them if you'll die, or if you should take more of them if you're okay. I know that one time I got a thing of gummy multivitamins. And I think you might have been there for this. I had like a bar in one of my apartments. And, you know, friends would come over and drink. I had like a very brief, like 7-month stint at a bachelor pad between relationships. And in that bachelor pad was like, I hung no art because I was like, I'm not going to be here long.
So it was really nice. It was good. You put it together well.
Yeah, it was okay.
I don't remember the gummy vitamins. What was going on with that?
Okay, so I had a huge jar of gummy vitamins, and I sat there at the bar with like a handle of vodka one night, and I think you were over, or some people were over, and we were just hanging out, and everyone was just like snacking on them. And like I think we were just drunk enough or that we didn't care. We knew what we were doing, but we polished off like a Costco sized jar of gummy vitamins, like between 2 or 3 people in like 2 hours, just like hanging out and snacking and be like,
And we all had kidney stones for weeks.
yeah, right. I mean, we're talking like 13 years ago now, so we're good.
We're still riding the effects of that.
Yeah, we're still on it. But no, so I got this stuff called gummy ashwagandhas, right? And I got them at Costco where they're cheaper. And I don't want them to be gummies, but I saw them there and I'm like, oh, it's like $35 on Amazon for like a month's worth, or like $20 at Costco for like, you know, this football shaped tub. Like it's fucking massive. And I was in a rush before a meeting the other day, and like grabbed like an RX bar for breakfast, and then grabbed my daily handful of gummies, which is just like vitamin D and multivitamin and all that shit. And I grabbed the ashwagandha and I chomped down on it, and it's one of those like harder gummies. It's somewhere between like a gummy bear and a dot, right?
Oh,
like it's
okay,
it dug into one of my back fillings of like a cavity I got 10 years ago, probably from the multivitamin gummy jar, and ripped it out. And all of a sudden I was like, huh, this is weird. There's like a weird wind feeling in my mouth anyway. And I ran up to my meeting and I was like, oh no, there's a hole in my mouth. And I realized that like the filling had gotten pulled out.
Of course there's a hole in your mouth. That's how you get the food in there.
Exactly. And I had swallowed it. And then I was going to Disneyland literally 2 days later with my family for the first time. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to eat like corn dogs with the side of my mouth. And like, you know, Dole Whip is going to get in there. It's going to be all scary. So like, luckily the dentist was open at like 7 a.m. the next day. And they put in like this fake, you know, like the temp, like when you put like a flat tire. Your wife's a dentist, you know this shit. And I've been like super scared to eat like anything gummy with like any sort of like, oh no, gotta go kind of aggression. Recently, like now I sort of savor. I'll still eat them, right? Like if I'll pop one in my mouth, I'll just kind of chew it and savor it
gently.
And
That's something that
you should
find
do anyway.
Mildly concerning about gummies is you could suck on them to dissolve them, but I don't really know how long that would take.
There's an owl for that probably. Like
a
gummy owl with a sideways graduation cap.
You don't even feel them dissolving. They just they I guess they are, but I feel like they're more gobstoppery than you know gobstoppers even are.
Yes,
you know, you can just swallow them whole. Just get them. You ever try to make?
That's what it says on the bag in German. You can just swallow them.
You can just swallow them whole. I think more food should just say that, and you know if people
just have
choke
the picture
on it,
of the whale from Pinocchio on there.
Yeah. That'd be a really roundabout way to market fun size stuff. Is this you can swallow them whole? The other ones you can't do that, but now they're little.
Do you know about the one of the only times that McDonald's has had to recall Happy Meal toys was because
Playmobil.
Yeah, it was the Playmobil ones, and kids were eating all the shovels and tools and such.
I imagine that did some damage to Playmobil's reputation in the States, but also, man, what a cool Playmobil or Happy Meal toy. That's great. I love Playmobil. They're wonderful.
Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of parents standing by small graves thinking that exact sentiment right now.
Okay, all right.
They're like, yeah, you know, Richard's been gone for 30 years now, but God, what a cool toy. And what a great promotion.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
They should bring back the Fry Guys. I'm sure they're standing there right now.
Anyway, that's a... You know, Happy Meal toys and Playmobil are stories for another day.
I don't think anyone died from that.
I think, the kids just made hissing noises. That was what kids really like. Nowadays, they got Fortnite. You know, they got Fortnite and like white supremacist YouTube algorithms. Back then, just choking on stuff. You know, Battlestar Galactica missile launchers, Playmobil Happy Meal toys.
Good luck choking on Fortnite. Can you do it? Take the choke on Fortnite challenge this year on YouTube.
Anyway, what's your favorite gummy? Gun to the head. What is the number one gummy you want that you love the most?
I mean, it's the classic. It's the Haribo Bears.
Really?
Yeah, it is. It is. Or like, I mean, I love Star Mix because they get a little silly with it, but the Haribo Bear is so above and beyond all the other gummy bears out there that it is just the perfect one. It's the margarita pizza. It's the
okay. Aside from the gummy bear, the prototypical, the iconic gummy bear, the Ray-Bans, the Converse Chuck Taylors, like what is the What's your second?
I do love a good peach ring.
Okay.
I do.
Peach rings are good. They're a good time.
Yeah.
I like the frogs.
That's always been a good one to me. You like the frogs?
I like the frogs and the sharks. They got that thing on the bottom that's
The cream belly?
I think it's supposed to be marshmallow, but it's like marshmallow by way of gummy.
Okay, I'm not against those.
I had some candy, I can't remember what it was, it made me realize it might have just been it might have been hippopotamuses. It was some crap we brought back from Germany. I can't even remember if it was Haribo or not, but it hit me that, that substance is trying to emulate marshmallow.
Yes.
And I was just like, it's white gummy, whatever that means. But I like
and you
the
you can't see through it like you can the rest of the animal.
True. That's very true. I don't know. I love the frogs. I think
gummy frogs are good. I like them. I'm not against them. They're a little weird because they are, I think, one of the only gummies that is like the exact same size as the real animal.
What about worms?
The only other gummy that's the exact same size as the real animal.
Sometimes snakes are real small. The weird thing is I don't think they don't have regular snakes. They have gummy worms, and then they have twin snakes.
Oh yeah, I always love seeing the twin snakes because we're like the Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's great.
those are awesome.
Cool naming convention. Yeah,
it is. And they have
great video games have gotten gummies. Twin Snakes, Elden Ring, whatever the other one was, PUBG or whatever it was.
Manhunt.
Manhunt. Yeah, I don't know. I love gummies. I want to go eat some gummies.
Well, yeah, if you want to help us buy more dumb books and gummy candies on our next trip to Germany, then head on over to patreon.com/thisthingrules. Support the show. And, kick us a couple bucks. We'll get you some exclusive content, some rare chase variant gummy sharks or fruit snack. Snacks.
And if you want to check out that book about the man who tells you about medieval candy and then admits the drug crimes he's done in the 90s, it is called Sweets: A History of Candy by Tim Richardson. It's a fun read. Real weird. And dude rails super hard against gum. He doesn't like gum. He likes gummy, but not gum.
Well, good. He's right. You should be able to swallow your food without getting holes in your stomach. And also, finally, and not to get dark here, but like if you do find yourself falling in chocolate rivers a lot or eating microphones during interviews, you might have a Gustus Galoops disease. It's something you should talk to your doctor about. He can help you out. Just a trip through the chocolate tube and you'll be cured. So head on down to your doctor, tell him that, and then see what happens.
I don't like the look of it.